At 81, I've seen many chapters of life, some joyful, some painful. But nothing prepared me for the moment I realized I had made a decision I couldn't easily undo. I moved into a nursing home thinking it would bring peace, security, and comfort. What I got was something entirely different. And if you're considering this path for yourself or a loved one, there are some truths you need to hear first. When I first decided to leave my home and move into a nursing facility, it felt like the responsible thing to do. My children were worried. I was starting to forget little things. And yes, I was tired. I thought I'd be surrounded by care, companionship, and routines that would make life easier. That's what they promised. But the reality? It was more complicated, not evil, not cruel. Just quiet, hollow, and far more restrictive than I had imagined. So if you're on the edge of that decision, or love someone who is, please stay with me. I'm going to share 6 personal regrets that no one warned me about. These are truths I wish someone had sat me down and told me before I gave up the keys to my home. And if you find yourself nodding along at any point, please leave a comment and tell me your story. You're not alone. Let's begin with the first and perhaps most painful realization. Regret number 1. I gave up my freedom without realizing it. I didn't lose my freedom all at once. That's the part that hurts the most. It slipped away slowly, piece by piece, like water draining from a cracked glass. At home, I had my little habits. I'd wake up when the sun peeked through the blinds, not when a bell rang. I'd make tea just the way I liked it, walk barefoot in my garden, or spend an hour rereading letters from my late husband. These were small things, but they made the day mine. When I moved into the nursing home, those decisions were no longer mine to make. Breakfast was served at 7:30 sharp. Didn't matter if I was still tired or had no appetite. Activities were scheduled, lights were turned off at fixed times, and even my showers were arranged according to someone else's calendar. Want to go outside and feel the breeze on your skin? You wait until someone has the time to walk with you. And if they're short-staffed that day, you don't go. And here's something people don't tell you. When everything is provided for you, you begin to forget how to choose for yourself. Independence doesn't vanish because someone takes it. It fades because you stop reaching for it. I remember one morning, I woke up early, couldn't sleep. I reached for the book I always kept by my side, only to realize it wasn't there. I had left it behind when I packed. That small moment made me feel like a guest in my own life. You don't notice how much freedom matters until it's no longer yours. And once it's gone, it's very, very hard to get back. If you or someone you love is thinking about making this transition, ask this first. Are you truly ready to surrender the right to choose your own day? Because comfort and safety may come at the cost of something far more precious: control over your own life. Regret number 2, the loneliness. They don't warn you about people think loneliness only happens when you're physically alone. But I've never felt more isolated than I did while surrounded by other people. When I first moved into the nursing home, my family promised they'd visit often. And in the beginning, they did. My daughter brought flowers. My grandson came to play cards. I even got video calls from my niece in another state. For a short while, I felt remembered. But slowly, the visits thinned out. Calls came less frequently. Weekends were busy, holidays unpredictable. I understood. They had their lives, their jobs, their kids. I didn't blame them, but I still waited. Every morning I'd fix my hair, just in case someone dropped by. I'd sit by the window in the afternoon, watching for familiar cars. I'd listen for my name down the hallway. But most days there was only silence, and I wasn't the only one. I'd see other residents wheeling themselves toward the front entrance around visiting hours, just to feel hopeful. Sometimes we'd exchange smiles. Other times we sat in quiet, unspoken disappointment. Here's what they don't tell you. Even when the staff is kind and your room is clean and the meals are warm, you can still feel forgotten, because what you really miss is being seen. At home, a neighbor might wave. A friend might drop by with soup. At the store, someone would ask how you're doing. In a nursing home, you're part of a schedule, not a community. And the worst part? You stop reaching out because you don't want to be a burden. I remember holding my phone one night, staring at my son's number. My finger hovered over it, but I didn't press call. I told myself he was probably tired, or busy, or both. That moment of needing someone and saying nothing, that's when loneliness changes you. So if you're thinking about this step, ask yourself or your loved one, what will you miss the most when the door closes behind you? Because loneliness doesn't knock. It just walks in and sits beside you quietly, day after day. Regret number 3, I lost my reason to wake up in the morning. At first, I thought I was just changing my address. I didn't realize I was also leaving behind the why that gave shape to my days. Before the nursing home, I had purpose. I watered the plants, I fed the birds, I wrote letters to my friends, even if my handwriting had gotten shaky. I baked banana bread once a week, even when no one came to eat it. And when I opened my eyes each morning, I knew what I was waking up for. But after I moved, that quiet rhythm was gone. The staff made my meals, they washed my clothes. There were no birds to feed, no mail to collect, no neighbors to wave at. There were activities, yes, bingo, crafts, TV, but they weren't my activities. They didn't hold the same meaning. I didn't choose them. I just joined them because I didn't want to sit alone. Over time, days started to blur together. Monday felt like Friday, and the hours between meals stretched like empty hallways. There was a man named Harold in the room across from mine. He used to be a school teacher. Every morning he would get dressed, tuck a pen into his shirt pocket, and sit by the window with an empty notebook. He said it helped him feel like himself. But after a few months, I noticed the pen was gone. The notebook stayed shut. One afternoon, I asked if he was still writing. He gave me a soft smile and said, "There's nothing left to say." That hit me harder than I expected, because that's what purpose is. It's the reason you keep writing, keep cooking, keep getting dressed for the day ahead. And when it disappears, you start to shrink inside your own life. We don't talk enough about this, about how being useful, even in small ways, is what keeps the heart beating strong. If you're planning this transition, ask, what gives your life meaning right now? Will you still have that once you move in? Because structure isn't the same as purpose, and filling a calendar isn't the same as filling your soul. Regret number 4, my health declined faster than I ever expected. Before I moved in, I thought I was doing all right for my age. I had my aches and pains, sure, but I could still move around, make my own tea, and take short walks in the garden. I even prided myself on how independent I was. But in the nursing home, something changed, and it happened faster than I ever imagined. At first, it felt like a blessing. No need to cook, no laundry to carry. If I needed something, I just pressed a button and someone came to help. It was easy, maybe too easy. What I didn't realize was that every little thing I stopped doing was something my body quietly forgot how to do. I stopped walking as much. Why bother when meals came to my room? I skipped my stretches some mornings. Why rush when there's nowhere to be? Slowly, my legs got weaker. My back stiffened. Even getting up from a chair became a slow, uncomfortable effort. I wasn't alone in this. I saw it in others too. There was a woman named Elsie who arrived the same week I did. She used to walk laps in the hallway every morning, said it kept her knees strong. After a month or two, I noticed she wasn't walking as far. Then she used a cane, then a walker. By the end of the year, she was in a wheelchair. One afternoon, she looked at me and said, "I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." And I knew exactly what she meant. The environment, though well-meaning, wasn't built to keep us moving. It was built to make life easier. But easier doesn't always mean better, because when you stop using your body, you start losing it. And once that physical decline starts, it's incredibly hard to reverse. I wish I had fought harder, pushed myself to keep doing the things that kept me strong, asked the staff to let me walk to meals, stretched every morning like I used to, even when I didn't feel like it. So if you're considering this path, ask yourself, will you still challenge your body when everything around you is designed for rest? Because if you don't move, you'll slowly disappear into the chair beneath you, and getting back up may not be possible later. Regret number 5. I didn't expect to lose my privacy and dignity. Of all the things I thought I'd be prepared for, this one caught me off guard the most. At home, I had my own room, my own bathroom, my own rules. If I wanted to sit in silence, I could. If I wanted to take a bath at midnight, I did. If I needed space to think, cry, or pray, I had it. But in the nursing home, privacy became something I had to ask for. There were constant room checks. Nurses would knock, but often opened the door before I could answer. Sometimes I'd be changing, or resting, or just trying to be alone for a moment. And I'd feel exposed, vulnerable, like a guest in my own space. Even personal tasks, like bathing or using the toilet, required assistance. I know the staff meant well. They were doing their job and many were kind. But having someone help you do the things you've done yourself for decades, that takes a toll. Not just physically, but emotionally. You start feeling like you're no longer you. You become the 4 o'clock shower or bed check in room 203. And that loss of identity, it chips away at your dignity in quiet, painful ways. And then there's the issue of roommates. Not everyone gets a private room. I was lucky. My roommate was gentle, soft-spoken. But I've seen others paired with people who yelled in the night, left the lights on, or refused to bathe. And you can't just leave. You adapt. Or you suffer. One morning I was sitting on my bed reading, and a staff member walked in and started talking to my roommate, loudly like I wasn't even there. I remember thinking, I'm not invisible. I'm still here. But in that place, your identity becomes your chart. Your dignity becomes a line item in a care plan. So if you're thinking about moving into a facility, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the little things that made you feel human? Because when those small moments of privacy and control disappear, they take parts of you with them. Regret number 6, I thought I could leave anytime, but I was wrong. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it wasn't permanent. If I don't like it, I can always leave, I thought. That belief gave me comfort, like I still had some control over the situation. But I was wrong. At first, I held on to the idea that I was just trying it out. I even left some things behind at my house, just in case I changed my mind. My family assured me I could go back whenever I wanted, but slowly the exit started closing without me realizing it. My home sat empty. Bills still came. Things started to wear down. Appliances, the garden, even the roof. My kids began cleaning out what I didn't need anymore, selling off furniture, moving boxes into storage. One day my son gently mentioned they were thinking about renting the place out. "You're safer here, Mom," he said. And they weren't wrong. I was safe, but I wasn't free. And physically, I was changing. I wasn't walking as much. My strength had faded. Simple tasks like cooking or bending down to tie my shoes now felt impossible without help. I began to doubt whether I could even manage on my own again. The same thing happened to others. I met a man named Richard who arrived in great shape. He told everyone he was just there until his knee healed. But months passed, then a year. One day he quietly admitted to me, "I don't think I'll ever leave." Not because I can't, but because no one's expecting me to anymore. That stayed with me, because that's how it happens. Not with a decision, but with a slow fading of options. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to reverse. Routines set in, energy fades, and before you know it, the idea of leaving feels like a mountain you no longer have the strength to climb. So if you're standing at the edge of this decision, ask yourself, what's the long-term plan? Is this truly temporary, or are you stepping into something you may not be able to step out of? Because the biggest surprise wasn't that I moved in. It was realizing I might never leave. Looking back, I don't regret growing older. Aging has brought me wisdom, perspective, and a deep appreciation for the simplest things in life. But I do regret thinking that moving into a nursing home was the only path forward. I believed I was making the safe choice, the right choice, and in some ways it was the easier one. But ease and peace are not always the same thing. I walked in expecting comfort, care, and relief. And yes, there were moments of those. But I wasn't prepared for what I gave up in exchange. My freedom, my purpose, my sense of privacy, and the belief that I could simply walk away when I chose. Now, I'm not saying nursing homes are bad. For some, they are necessary. For others, they may even be life-saving. But what I am saying is this: don't make the decision lightly. Don't assume it's just temporary. And don't underestimate the value of staying in your own home, your space, with your routines, and your sense of control. If I could go back, I would have asked for more help at home. I would have looked into home care options, hired part-time assistants, leaned on friends and neighbors. I would have fought harder to stay rooted in the life I knew, because once you give it up, getting it back is much harder than anyone tells you. So if you or a loved one are facing this decision, take your time. Ask the hard questions. Picture not just the first week, but the months and years that may follow. And most importantly, listen to your gut. If a part of you hesitates, explore why. Because the life you have now, your independence, your rhythm, your voice, is worth protecting for as long as you can. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you or reminded you of someone you love, please leave a comment below. We read everyone. Your stories matter. And if you'd like more videos like this, real conversations, honest reflections, and wisdom from a life well lived, please subscribe and tap the bell. It helps us reach more people who need to hear these truths. Until next time, take care of yourself and never forget, your life, your choices, and your voice still matter.